everyone, welcome to darkfaetarot. You are joining me on the end of another wintry day in Brussels. Welcome to new subscribers, welcome back to those who already know me. So yes, today we're going to be looking at Seasons of the Witch, Imbolc Oracle. This is by Lauren Anderson and Juliet Diaz, illustrations by Tiano Lukovic. I picked up this deck for about 21 euros from Amazon right before Christmas, and I just want to say I am absolutely in love with it. So that's a spoiler. This deck is based around the festivity of Imbolc, which is the 1st of February. We are right in the middle of winter, between the winter solstice and the coming spring equinox. And so this deck for me is just perfect. I have it's really filled a spot in not just a hole in the soul or whatever you want to call it. It's really been pertinent for me in terms of working with this deity, and also because it's very culturally pertinent. I went to an Irish Catholic school for my secondary education, and very much steeped in the culture, and it was just a part of my life. I've also spent quite a lot of time in Ireland, so for me, the season of Imbolc, it just was wonderful to see something so lovingly created that has this energy, but of course is now accessible for all if you want to work with this energy. So let me go into the oracle. It's out of order, by the way, so you just have to bear with me. We're going to also be looking at the guidebook, which has been done very well. Okay, so this deck, of course, comes with this beautiful blue coloring. As you can see, it all the Seasons of the Witch oracles do. This one is this beautiful blue gilding, and the deck has an absolute wonderful color palette of browns, deep browns, a little hints of black even, blue and white, and then you have maybe spots of gold. Other than that, really there isn't much else color, and that's beautiful. It gives it such a wonderful harmonization. I have shuffled this quite a bit, and the gilding is holding up quite well. It doesn't hurt my hands at all, and I have arthritis, so if it hurt, I would say it, but really nothing. Of course, this beautiful motif in the back. So let's go into, first of all, the tradition of Imbolc. I want to talk a little bit about that before I go further. So for those who might be interested, this is a little bit about Imbolc. And then, and before I even go further than that, I just want to say, if you haven't already, please hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you don't miss any more uploads from me or any more videos if you're interested in my reviews. So yes, the season of Imbolc. So this is again midwinter, and a little bit about the deity Brigid, who's also known as Saint Brigid. She is basically a deity from pre-Christian times, but really became well known just at the intersection of when Christianity is influencing Ireland. We're looking at a time around, I would say, 5th, 6th century AD. And originally, Brigid's flame was meant to be a light in Kildare, and it had a kind of like a myth that would help sailors to find their way to the shores. Sometimes it would also not be so much like that. There's also something known as St. Elmo's fire, which can trick sailors finding their way to the shore. So there's a lot of mythology in the background there. Brigid's name translates to fiery arrow, and according to legend, she's the daughter of Dagda, the head of the, and I have to pronounce this correctly, Tuatha De Danann. I had to look that up, and so it won't surprise you that she's associated with healing, fertility, poetry, and learning. And of course, her feast is the 1st of February. I also have friends whose names is Brigid, or their middle name is Brigid, or their confirmation name is Brigid. And I have also myself been called to work with this deity personally several times in my life. Very gentle, loving, but also there's this enormous strength. So I've really enjoyed the fact that this deck was created. Actually, I just want to say that I'm so happy. So this is a rock pool deck. It's mass market, of course, and easily available. as I've already mentioned, the imagery and the art are these beautiful browns, blues, grays, silvers. It's just done so well in terms of the actual coloring. Let me move this out of the way now so that you have a better look at the cards and we can focus just on the cards. But yes, it has this beautiful imagery, a lot of the symbols, and what we see here in terms of the tableware, each of the leaves, the flowers, the vegetation that's shown, everything has been done taking into account that we are in midwinter. And I just want to premise this by saying it's midwinter, of course, Northwest Europe. So, where I live right now, it's not so much snowy. We don't have heavy snow or anything like that. It's more kind of like very icy. We're well below freezing. We've been below freezing for about a week now. And then sometimes it does warm up and it rains and then it becomes icy again. It's that kind of energy. If I was in Northern England or if I was in Ireland, definitely I would see a lot more kind of like that icy rain. That's what we have at that time of year. Of course, in Northern England, it would snow. Not so heavy again. Parts of this part of the world, the Isles, are warmed up, just to be very clear, because of the fact that we have the Gulf current coming in from New Mexico, so that warms up this part of Europe. It kind of like crosses the Atlantic and it makes us de-thaw. So we never get that cold, although we are quite high in terms of we're at the same level, I think, as Canada, as I understand. So it's interesting how this is still quite warm, this part of Europe. You can see already here that the authors have decided to use keywords that really are pertinent to this time of year. So Aquarius, the constellation of Aquarius, the sun is coming through that constellation this time of year. That will be from 20th January onwards, approximately around there, depending on the year. Black bear, I mean, just so well done. There's diversity, not just in terms of ethnicity, but there's diversity in terms of also age ranges. We also will see crone energy in here. This deck, I love this card, by the way. I just want to pause and say, weather divination is just, it really, really speaks to like that Northern England, Ireland, Scotland kind of like culture, where we really, when we see kind of like the storms rolling in, we see it as a form of divination. I've been in that situation where I'm like, I can really feel the energy in the palpable in that part of the world, and I find it just awesome, basically. Here's groundhog, wake up dear one from the slumber you find comfort in. So they've really tried to encapsulate the hibernation period and the fact that now we're starting to warm up again, that the light is coming through. I really think that this deck is really speaking to me personally about waiting, trusting, knowing that the change is going to happen. Whenever, the opposite side of course, Imbolc is Lammas. So Lammas would be harvest, thanks, abundance, knowing that we've got, the fruit of our labors. That's Lammas, right? When we're going into harvest season. Whilst with Imbolc season, it's kind of like we're at the end of like all the food that's been used for hibernation. Of course, today it's a different story, but harking back to those times, people would be like in their last sacks of grain. They would have enough, but you wouldn't have that much fresh vegetation because everything would still be thawed, basically. It would still be kind of like quite solid underground, some of this food, this vegetation. And so you kind of like just had to trust that like I've got enough to keep going. The winds are strong. February, it's very, very windy here. The winds are strong. The ocean energy is coming inwards, and again, we're in that period where it's solitary, but we're working with the things that we have, right? Because we have the candle, we have the flame of Brigid, we have that warmth, we have our, here she's got her grimoire, the cup. I just love it, the ornaments and the little kind of like, the little trinkets that she's keeping, and those things that remind her, even here, the skull, I think that's the skull of a unicorn. Wow. I just think it's just amazingly done, this whole coming of spring, that really, again, just speaks to what we're looking at. And, when I've ever been in Ireland, there is this beautiful mist in the winter that you see rolling off the cliffs kind of thing. And also in northern England, if you go towards the seas, you'll see this mist, quite foggy, and it's hypnotic. It's kind of like, I always feel like there is a spirit in there. There's something calling me. And I need to feel like, that this fog, this mist, I got to trust that whatever it's bringing to me in terms of messages. I just think this has been done very, very well. I'm going very slowly here, but because you get to save the cards, you get to savor how it's been thought through. Cinnamon rolls. I mean, just the warmth in this cold, forged in fire. I love also that they've taken so many of the like more traditional words. Like here we've got culling, keening. I've had this card come up quite a few times. This is acknowledging a grief, a wailing. There's actually chapters that I've been reading online about how keening was done in the old days, what it meant. There's interviews done with people in Ireland. Sadly, it's now coming out of tradition, where how keening was done to help release the spirit and also the sadness from within. And I've had a lot of times this come up for me, which is quite pertinent. It's about my own grieving process. Here it's about the North Star. Again, it's just so, and peppermint. And I just want to point out here that this deck has this freshness in it. And when I saw peppermint, I was like, how perfect is this? What it means to have a sacred space at this time of year again. And this deck for me, and the authors will talk about it, I'm going to read a little bit. It's really, really great for when we are feeling alone and we don't have that so much connection with the community and so forth. We're more connected with the animals around us, the trees, the forests, the weather, and our own kind of like tools, right? So winter besom. So being at the heart of winter, this is about being at the breast of winter, basically. Rituals and arts and crafts. So yeah, it's such a beautifully well done deck. So let me talk a little bit about the guidebook now, because I think that for me, the guidebook is as much of a treasure trove as the cards. So I'm going to read a little bit about the initial passage that was done by the authors, because that was really struck me. Here they will give you the wheel of the year. So again, you can see here that Imbolc and Lammas are on the other side of each other. So you can really see the opposites of energies if one lives in this kind of like northern hemisphere, what that might mean for you. I'm just going to read a little bit about here, which really struck me. So it's here. It says here, let me find the right part. Imbolc is, I'm just starting midway. Imbolc is associated with patience, hope, transitions, and beginning of the ascent back to the light after the darkness of the winter months, among other things. But in our hearts, we felt like this is the perfect season to represent the self. It's a time when the harshness of a spiritually dark cycle may bring up feelings of vulnerability or confusion about your next steps, or when you need some encouragement to keep going. We have also found that this Sabbath to be the one most suited for solitary spiritual work, a time when you turn inward and focus on your hopes and dreams. I just really say that these decks really come alive when I looked at the intention of the authors, because with that intention, seeing it through that lens, the oracle, it was magic. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. They've given a lot on pulling cards, using the deck beyond Imbolc as well. They've given some sections. If you just want to buy this deck and you don't want to buy the rest of the catalog, you can do that as well. And then comes the Imbolc spreads. And I want to just say that I've bonded with these decks so well, not just with a deck interview, which is great. They give here a deck interview, but by going and doing a spread specifically for the season. So the couple that I've already done so far is there's a coming of spring spread. And then there's one that I did was self-ceremony spread, which is about our hopes and dreams. So again, I would really recommend going into the book and really reading it before and working with some spreads. And then you can also work with these cards individually, because you have here altogether, I just want to check, I think it's 40. How many cards is there in here completely? Just want to make sure before I go further. 44 cards. Yeah. So you have plenty that you can use this from, you can use this pulling a card a day, basically all the way up to Imbolc. But I want to talk here. I want to here pull out first of all, sorry, getting a bit lost here. Let me pull a card and let's do a reading before I go further, because then I don't miss out on that. So I've got Snowflake. Let's read on Snowflake, which is number 40. Now, when we go into the guidebook, the other thing that they've done for this guidebook is, before I was finding it hard to look at this number in the guidebook because they weren't numbering it here. It was only the number here. I couldn't read it properly, to be quite honest with you. In this guidebook, it's much clearer, which is great. I saw that change. Sometimes, by the way, they have spells behind a reading, which I think is wonderful. So let me look at this one, number 40, Snowflakes. I've never read this, so let me read it with you all. Keywords: enjoying life, not missing special moments, not taking things for granted. Every moment is a sacred gift, a blessing you shouldn't take for granted. Okay, now let's read what it says here. It says here, let's see if I can read that. Yeah, this card is here to question whether or not you have made time to enjoy the fruits of your labor. The thing to ask yourself when receiving this card is, what have you been missing out on lately? Is it time with family and friends? Or perhaps you can't remember the last time you actually enjoyed a meal rather than rushing through one. Take note of your first thought and make an effort to nurture this area of your life. What comes to mind when pulling this specific card is no accident and requires your attention. You might be thinking that there's time for that later, but be mindful not to take things for granted. You might bail on a friend one too many times or miss the chance to see the glaciers before they're gone for good. The only sure thing you can count on is that things can change in an instant. This card warns you that you're in danger of overlooking something very important. It may seem small to you, but it could make or break your relationship or chance with someone else. So this is really just about enjoying our moment and enjoying time with the people. And this is so beautiful. Like, she's playing her little girl, her little boy. I mean, it's just so lovely. It's so beautifully done. I loved it. The other thing to know before I forget is, here we have keywords. On here we have, now this sentence, I know I'm not going to go into it because I know a lot of people have their opinions about what's written here. I see this as incantation. It's an invocation. So I really like these words here. It says here, every moment is a sacred gift, a blessing you shouldn't take for granted. I see that as an invocation, an invitation to energize the intention of those words, which is basically to appreciate the moment, to be okay with the day, as it is, and take that as a blessing. So that's why I personally do like what's written here on the cards. And we also have keywords given to us here as well. So it's perfect for me. Okay, so the other thing that I think is really good is that about this deck is that, apart from its freshness, apart from its color palette, apart from its diversity, all of the things that I've mentioned, the fact that we see owls and ferrets and foxes and rodents and seagulls and moths and bears, and it's just beautifully done, beautifully boats, and just, yeah, I mean, it's dream realm, butterflies, so yeah, it just so well done. Okay, so I think that this deck for me is perfect for my witchery. That's how I want to call it. And I want to show some pairings that can be done with this, because we're 18 minutes in. So let's show some pairings that we can do with this deck. So the one that always struck me, and I'm still working with it right now, is actually, I'm still working with the Dark Days Tarot. This is by, I want to get the names right here, Ren Mercado Brignac. Ren Mercado Brignac and Emily Mundy. So I just want to show you how it looks with this deck, because, and I want to talk about it too much because there's actually a review coming up of this deck, because I love this deck. But anyway, here we go. Here we go. Just look at that. If you're looking for kind of like this feminine, beautiful energy, and then being inspired by this, which is very diverse. So we're not looking at here, this is a whole, all kinds of people in the Imbolc deck. I just think it's beautiful, the way that they're playing off each other. the way that the imagery is in sync. Um, I just have absolutely loved this deck. Look at that, right? Eight of Cups, and here we have Serpent, and preparing for a new beginning. Here we have Seven of Pentacles, so waiting for that, for the fruit of our labor. And here it's about Brigid and awakening from the flame. So yeah, I just think it's just here itself. Oh, let me move that way. Here's self ceremony, and we've got 10 of Cups, and here we've got arts and craft, and here we've got 7 of Wands. So beautifully and enriching as they come together. So I don't know what I've been doing there. Let me get the light back up again. Here, there we go. So there we go. So yeah, and here we've got bathing ritual, and here we've got King of Wands. Yeah, I just really love these two decks together. I thought that they're going beautifully, and I'm going to be talking about them a bit more in another video too. What I actually do is every week I pull, right now, a Dark Days tarot card, and I pull one of these cards and go with it. Another deck that I think it will go beautifully with is the White Hare Wisdom Oracle deck by Jackie Lovesley. This is also an indie deck, and so was Dark Days Tarot. These are indie decks here I'm showing you. So lovely, because this is so wintry, so I just find they just lovingly go so well. Here's Release, and here's Winter Besom again. Flow, candle dressing. Oh, just, yeah, there's something about this nurture and amethyst, and yeah, I just really love this pairing. Here's Passion, and here's Winter Woodlands, and these are about broomsticks here, and here's Rise Above, and here's Horned Owl. Let's just do one more, Full Moon and Angelica, and I just think that's beautiful pairing. So if you have any of the Lovesley decks, I think they might really go well with this deck as well. I happen to have the White Hare Wisdom, and the reason I bought it was, to be honest with you, was because it's just so lovely as a wintry deck, and I don't think we have enough wintry decks. I think there's a lot of summer decks sometimes, but not enough wintry ones. Okay, and here's the Goddess Spirit Oracle deck. Now this deck I need to do a review on because I love this deck. And again, I'm using it as a weekly pull. I'm sometimes using it as a clarifier. These are the backs. The creator is Rachel Johnson, and I just want to make sure I know the artwork. I think the artwork is the same person. I just want to check. I think it's all Rachel Johnson. I'm pretty sure that it is. Written and illustrated by Rachel Johnson. Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to make sure before I go further that I have the right person here. So those are the backs. Aren't they gorgeous? Absolutely stunning. And again, I just think that these go so beautifully together. I'll be doing a separate review on this deck because I have used it extensively. This deck is just perfect for the winter for me. Rebirth, Dark and Light, Hell, and this is Peppermint. I mean, just there's a flow, right? I don't know if you're seeing it, but I'm seeing it for sure with these colors. And just the goddesses that are appearing right now. Harvest is keening, and here's Persephone, and here's calming. Yeah, I just feel like there's a, and here's Deanna, action. Action, make some cinnamon rolls. But yeah, I just really loved how they went so well and beautifully together, this energy of this goddess deck. And here's Devotion on Saraswati. It's just so beautifully done. And here's Hecate, and here's Garlic. So yeah, I just find that there's a fieriness a little bit there, right? So beautifully done. Here's Coming of Spring, and here's Oya. So yeah, I just loved putting these two together. There was something about it for sure. So let me do a separate review on the Rachel Johnson deck, because I think that deck is just, it's kind of like a deck which I think is like a sleeper in the community. People don't know about it enough, and I want to do a separate review of it. Okay, so I've shown you 3 pairings to go with it, and we've looked at the guidebook. So I'll just wrap up now. I just want to say that this deck has just been such a loving energy that I've brought in. I love the incantations. I love the moodiness of it with the colors. I love how it reflects a certain kind of, like, it's modern, but at the same time it goes back to its roots, which I just love. Anything that really harks back to that, when we go back several hundreds of years, it just invokes in me such a a beautiful kind of like connection. I really feel then at home, like I'm going back to my own home, my sacred home, which is a different era of time, that's for sure. Um, the intention that's gone in by the authors and by the illustrator is just very present in the deck. This is not for me a cash grab. I just want to say that very clearly. This is not done like let's make this is done with really thinking about how can we help the generations that are coming through that want to work with the energy of the land, the creatures, the vegetation. How can we help that reconnection? How can we go past the walls of what has been too much of traditional structures and now go towards that energy of nature, the energy of the spirits between the trees and in the ground. You know, that's for me what this deck really goes down to, and I really love it for that. I love the running water and the ice. I mean, it just is done so well. So, yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this review. I'm going to stop here. I think that I would just really recommend that if you haven't done already, I really recommend you go and get this deck and give it a try. The authors have also said you can use this beyond Imbolc as well if you wanted to. But okay, other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all soon. Take care now.